Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Happy Catty Crypto here. So I've been speaking about a USTC Repeg for some time. Everybody's been wanting to know about it, and Duncan has really been following this from the beginning. He's been really putting a lot of ideas out there, and he does have a brilliant route so far from what I can see. And from what I've read and from what I've been following, it just seems like something that we need to get out there. We need to get people kind of huddling around this and kind of show more interest into these other things that are going on. So Duncan, thank you so much for making it onto the channel. Really appreciate it. So do you want to just tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, what your background is, where you've come from, and stuff like that? Sort of set the scene.
Well, first, thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to be here and talking about it. So my background, I'm gonna just do a speed run. I used to work in a grocery store, worked like teaching jobs, service jobs, you name it. Got into crypto late July 2021. We've been trading the full time, started a family and friends fund. Um, got another client who actually said, "Hey, I didn't sell my UST. Can you basically help me repeg it, more or less?" And then when taxing and staking came on, I basically had to come to the community and start participating. I now run the Onyx validator, and it was 100%, but now it's 5%. Just focusing on USTC Repeg stuff, and just making money for the delegates.
That's it. Well, that's what we're all here for, realistically, aren't we, Duncan? As much as we're all doing what we're doing, the ultimate end of everything is everybody got involved in crypto because they have this idea of being financially free, right? Being part of something that is with the generation, and it's really something that a lot of people have found a place in where they couldn't actually find a place for themselves maybe in life before. So it seems like you found a walk in life that you're really enjoying. You figured some things out, and now you're doing stuff for the community. So Onyx Validator as well as your validator. So huge shout out to that. We'll leave links to that in the description, folks, if you wanted to check out Duncan's validator too. So your whole Repeg plan, give us the, not so much a short explanation, but just run us through it from the top to the bottom.
Okay. So I've been putting out discussion pieces, but the first one that it started with was called Modify the LUNC exchange rate with a new fee. So kind of like how we put the tax rate on that says tax, this much percent of a transaction. This is kind of the same thing, except we want it to be able to go up or down. So we would automate sort of the parameters of it, kind of like, okay, sometimes you pay like a really heavy tax, and sometimes you pay a light tax, like no tax at all. So that's where it started from, and we've been kind of iterating. Well, I've been kind of iterating on this based on the community's feedback, concerns, comments, and questions. But basically, the idea is like, how can we get people to buy and sell all of the Terra stablecoins even when it's down 98%? So from the top, we have I can send you the links, of course. We basically have this thing called the LUNC exchange rate, and I'm going to open the documentation here for that. So this just says we store the LUNC exchange rate against a given denomination. So like the US dollar, the Korean won, Great British pound, which is used by the market module for pricing swaps. So essentially, we're kind of changing, I'll keep this up, we're kind of changing how it works. It's like the gas fee on Ethereum, or even Luna 2. So like Luna 2, based on how much the network's being used, or Ethereum, how much it's being used, the price goes up or down for your transactions.
And that's
So
quite
it's being
normal in crypto. It's something that's not actually utilized at all in Luna Classic.
yeah. So it's really interesting because Luna Classic, it just says we're gonna make a block like every 6.5 seconds. Back in May, we had like a lot of transactions happening, so there was a lot of load on the validators. So it's very normal for cryptocurrencies networks to do this because it's kind of like if I were to try, if like 10,000 people wanted to access my website at the same time, it has to service all of those, let's just say, customers at the same time. So if we are trying to service a lot of people at the same time, we need to be able to handle all of them without, it taking too long. Because if it takes too long, then you could be like withdrawing your delegation rewards and you'll just be waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and we don't want that. So you'd be basically be paying an extra fee to do it. That's where it kind of comes from. But the thing about changing the exchange rate of Luna, so here's the proposal, section 4, is that we are we're basically affecting the prices that the validators are putting forward. So the validators get a bunch of prices from they can get it from Binance, they can get it from like Uniswap, an Oracle feeder like Band Protocol or Chainlink. And they say, okay, the USTC price is 2 cents. So we're going to put that forward. All the other validators do the same thing. They don't know what the other validators are putting forward. They're submitting a price. And then like the median, so the weighted median is what it's called, like kind of like the average of all those prices are taken, and they say, okay, the price of UST based on all of the prices submitted by the validators is 2.5 cents. So this proposal says after that process happens, we just add a fee, so like a tax, but I say it's a fee because it depends on how you look at it. And that's what this week's discussion is going to be about. Um, what's the difference between a fee and a tax? Is it market manipulation, or is it monetary policy?
I guess
Um,
that's always going to be a thing with crypto currently because there's so many different systems out there that explain things in different ways. It's it's quite easily mistaken for one or the other. So it's good to see that you're having the correct discussions around this. And the even more important thing is you're giving due time for people to process these things. That's what I really like about your whole way of approaching everything. You've also got layman's explanations in there, which is so important in the Luna Classic community and in crypto overall, because at the end of the day, if people we've got so many new people joining this space all the time. Not everybody's a genius. A lot of people join with the basic understanding of their coins on a CEX and they believe they own them. So that's normally the level that we're dealing with. So seeing you having these layman's explanations is really good, Duncan. It's really good.
yeah, so just a brief on that. It's like I'm able to spend my full day just reading these documentations and like digesting them. But I have friends who basically, one has Luna Classic and he's just like, yeah, so what are you even talking about, basically? And we have proposals that are like, we want to substitute the client ID so that we can update and be with parity on the code, and it's just, what does it do, right? And so part of this process of like, we take our time and we say, do you understand what we're about to propose? If the answer is like an overwhelming no, then it's like, how can I make this even simpler than it is without sacrificing what it's actually about? It's like education in a nutshell, in my experience. Like if you even read the understanding the risks of this proposal, Like it just is like, dude, what is he even saying? He's speaking Greek to me. Um, so if we want to continue it, the big risk with just this proposal is the dishonesty of Sybil attacks. So a Sybil attack is basically so this is actually quite relevant to our discussions about voting power. So a lot of people say, well, we want to decrease all nodes' voting power from 20% maximum to 10%. And I tell people, I say, that's the problem is not that they have that capability. The problem is the incentives which lead to that.
Exactly. The
Like,
incentives are far more important. You can clean up trash in the ocean, right? Or you can stop
yeah,
the trash from getting into the ocean overall.
exactly. That is a great analogy.
Mm.
So this, so like, for example, this is kind of a tangent, but if we were to cap the voting power from 20 to 10, and then all nodes loses 8% voting power, how do we know that there's not like other all nodes validators that would basically just receive that voting power and then they just vote in favor of whatever all nodes was going to vote for, except now you don't know who it is. So you've basically made the whole process more difficult.
We've already seen previously evidence that people were paying other people to cast votes. There is evidence out there to support that. I'm sure LUNC's been through it in a few posts before, that it's a known thing that validators have been bought out, and it really doesn't hit it at the root stem of the cause.
I actually did not know that, and it's probably outside the scope of this discussion. That would be the first time I'm actually would hear something like that.
Yeah, I won't mention
Um,
any names in this, but I will try find the links to it. It would have been so long ago now. I think this would have been back. This would have been back about 3.5 months ago.
yeah, when
But
the new
look, Dow
set
was pretty
opened.
precise on it. It was pretty obvious everything that was
Yeah,
going on. So, but
it,
we need to
it's
be so careful who ends up with these huge amounts of voting power if you then do reduce it in that manner.
yeah. So we have the same sort of risks when we introduce a proposal like this, because the proposal. So first, I'm going to explain how the Oracle works. So I have a layman's explanation right here that says the validators are playing a game of Texas Hold'em. There's an implicit understanding that each player, so each validator, is not cheating. And if enough people cheat by playing cards that exist outside of the deck that was dealt, it just creates a bunch of problems, more than we already have. So that's like the big risk here, because in this analogy of Texas Hold'em, all of the validators, every like 30 seconds, we're just submitting prices. So that's actually where a lot of the Oracle rewards come from. Because once that process is complete, they get money from the Oracle pool, it goes to the delegates, and so if I'm a validator and I decide, you know what, I want to submit a price that says UST is equal to $1. Therefore, I can buy more Luna Classic with my UST dollar. Then they could try that, but the program prevents that, using what's called, I wonder if I have the link in here. It's called the reward band. So basically, if you are submitting a price and it's like 7% outside of everybody else's price, you actually don't get any rewards. So basically, if you try to cheat the system, you just get zero rewards, the validator. And so all of your delegates give zero rewards. Now, the whole idea of like Sybils is like, okay, one person can't do it, but if there's more than one validator trying to cheat the system, then they could have just been sending out prices that like, oh, USTC is maybe not a dollar more, but like it's just higher than it actually is. If that makes sense. So we don't want, this whole idea of Sybil attacks is really important when we're trying to discuss proposals like these. Because if validators are providing a false price, then we've completely undermined the honesty of our network. And basically, like, was the value of these tokens ever really real? What's to say it's not just zero? Again, that's like really cynical point of view.
As we know, one slip up can lead to a capitulation of a whole blockchain. So, slip ups are quite important, especially in these. So, like, a big question I've always had around a USTC repeg is how do you guys address the supply issue? Because from what we know, right, the majority of the supply is either, well, I think there's like 20-ish% in the hot wallet, Binance hot wallet. And if we look at, the overall statistics, which are probably not that accurate, I think it's like 80%, isn't it? Within the top 100 wallets.
Yeah, there's like less than 100 wallets that have like the majority of the supply, as I understand it.
Exactly. So, like, how do you begin to address an issue of that size?
Right. So, are we talking about how do we, like, what's the goal with addressing quote unquote the issue?
So, like, as you're repegging the system, right, those holders, they've got an opportunity, haven't they, to, attack the system in a manner that they can just drain any liquidity that you're therefore putting into it, right? If they wanted to.
You mean by like selling all of the UST on the market at once, or am I misunderstanding?
Well, realistically, they could do it in stages, couldn't they? That's how whales play the game. They sell out a portion, they then buy it back later, and therefore control the market. So it was always my thought that USTC would be at the whim of something like this. Obviously, I couldn't outline it exactly how it could be because I just don't understand how to perform that level of an attack. But it's a possibility, right?
Yeah, so like actually, so what I'm about to do is I'm just gonna do a 1 year chart. Oops, maybe not, maybe less than 1 year. So let's see if I can get this. What I understand is wow, okay, hang on, sorry. We have like like kind of like what's to prevent a whale from saying buying 2 cents here, then the price moves up to 6 cents and then they sell it, and then they just keep doing that over and over again. Am I understanding correctly?
Yeah, more or less. And then obviously the whole issue with actually getting at that supply as well, because that leaves around 20% that's actually floating around available for you to get at.
Yeah, so I actually just pulled up on screen the Terra Classic USD chart. So Terra USD. And if you see here, this is all the way back in June right here. So if we scrolled back a little bit further, this is like when the crash happened on the left. So price crashed. We went down to less than a penny, and then it went back up to 8 cents like a month later, and then it was just selling off. And then it's going up again to 6 cents, selling off, up to like 6 cents, selling off, and now we're back at 2 cents. So, as I understand it, it's like, well, all of that money could just be coming onto the market, and we could just be floating in this range forever. Is that like, and we would not even see the money, more or less, right? Or no?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So the way we can, so I've kind of warmed up to it. I know you're gonna hear it on the record. Is the tax of, we have a tax that says whenever you use the blockchain, you get taxed, which again, it makes it very hard actually to use it for trading purposes. because you have to run arbitrage bots. Like you have to run a machine to make money, because it has to factor in the tax costs. Now, this might be jumping a little bit ahead, but this was like kind of what we were discussing in the third discussion. I had this proposal that said we want to kind of have this fee modifier. So I called it the ERM, or exchange rate modifier. And we wanted to basically cap how much it goes up or down. So if we wanted to move the price peg up, like increase our fees for using it by like 0.15%, it won't go any further than that. Because we don't want to, increase it by 0.15%. And then when the validators are submitting their feeds, they're submitting an increased price, and then they continue to submit it. Aesop's actually pointed this out to me, and I had no idea. And so we want to just we actually want to kind of play in this area, right? We want to stay, this kind of sounds goofy, we want to stay depegged so that we know that we can move up another penny, if that makes sense. And then we just keep doing that till we get to $1.
Because once you peg it right, it has to maintain, like you'll more or less build an algorithm that maintains that peg.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
once you turn that peg on, it's going to be, it's going to be annoying, right? So you're just going to want to do this in stages where you're not actually pegging to anything, but you're just moving upwards, right?
Yeah. So you bring up a great point. So a lot of people have said, well, what happens when it hits $1? Right? Like you could just have a bunch, like the Binance customers or even LFG, and they say, we're going to cash out $3 billion. Thanks for repegging it, and now we're back at a depeg level. I don't think they'll do that, but we have to know that during the process that we're in right now, there might be people who are just accumulating, and then they're going to sell it at $1. Because it's really cheap right now, right? So, I actually spoke with Redline Drifter. He's another quant. He's actually over in Terra Rebels right now. But he also talks with Fafi about the DEX proposal that he put up. And when I brought this forward to Redline in the first discussion, in this one right here, he was saying, well, let me see if I can find the comment. I'm kind of concerned that, here we go. I know we've discussed this, but first off, we need the data, and I'm concerned that the LUNC price gets driven down. So why would someone support the proposal if I'm just going to take a huge price hit to my Luna Classic holdings? A lot of the proposal discussions after this have been like, how do we do it without hurting the people who are invested in the network?
It's always going to be a thing, though, isn't it? There's always going to be these things where people don't want to see coins minted, or people just don't want to see LUNC suffer because we're trying to fix something else. It's this idea, isn't it? Robbing from Peter to pay Paul, but then having to return the money back to Peter later. Yes,
the definition of Ponzi scheme sort of thing.
I didn't want to throw the word Ponzi in.
It's okay. I've read the Wikipedia too.
Yeah.
So when I had talked to Redline recently, this was actually on Monday. Here's what he told me. Okay, I'll kind of. So what I'm trying to do is say we want more people to come on chain. The proposal I'm trying to put forth is, how do we get all of the people from Binance, the Binance hot wallet, all of that money back on chain, and then we send it back to Binance, right? So this is what the second one describes. So here's the pictures here. Do you need me to zoom in here to show you? Let's see if I can.
No, yeah, absolutely tip top.
Okay, it's really not
You've
that
got all
great.
my screen, sir.
Okay.
All the screen. I'm currently eating a piece of celery as well.
Okay. So here's basically two situations if we had this kind of proposal, right? Let's say we want to raise the price of USTC by a penny. Okay, so now Binance's price is 2 cents because they're lagging behind us. And then Terra's price, the Luna Classic blockchain, we're offering a premium. We're saying, hey, come put your USTC on chain, and now you can sell it for an extra penny. Now, there's a couple examples that we can do, and this introduces like some interesting game theory. So, if you're a Binance customer and you send USTC to Terra and you're going to get a penny extra, you're actually going to get more Luna Classic with your USTC because we've basically increased the price. This is where all the talk of is this market manipulation occurs. And to be really brusque about it, it is, but then we have to think is any of the monetary policies like inflation, isn't that just market manipulation too? Right?
Well, you have to
No,
ask yourself another question, Duncan.
yeah,
Wasn't this Luna Classic? Sorry, would have been Luna before the crash. Wasn't this
yeah,
Luna's purpose to start with? It
yeah.
was a
I mean,
coin
it's
that was created to drive the price of UST up and then to maintain the peg. So therefore, you'd
yeah,
actually be implementing a similar system to what we had before. It's just going to take time. There's going to be a little sting.
yeah, it is, and um, so something that probably not a lot of people who are new here know. When Luna existed before, you actually needed to inflate the token. You actually needed to mint more. Um, or just find a way to liquidate people who are staking. It sounds really mean, but again, this is kind of I think I talked about it on a different channel of you don't want people playing the dragon sitting on a pile of cash. So we need to be able to make demand, and if no one wants to sell their Luna Classic when it's hit $120, then the system will say, okay, we're just going to issue more so that people can, get the same price that you did when it was 1/1000th of a penny. So, um, that's a different topic. But the idea is that we need to maintain the peg by arbitrage. So we need people trading, buying low, selling high, and also using the network so that, USTC will try and float around one, but it won't always be exactly one. So just to clarify this example here, basically, if you were a customer with USTC on Binance, you can send it into Terra, swap it to Luna Classic. Now you could just stake it immediately right there, right? You've just bought Luna Classic at a discount. But if you're a trader trying to extract as much money as possible, then you could send it out to Binance, all your bulk of Luna Classic, and then you just swap it to cash and then just repeat the process, right?
And then you're
Um,
also getting USTC possibly back out of that 80% that sat in those wallets.
yeah. So like I said, we want to be able to say, hey, we know that like you have 20% of the supply, can you bring it back on chain? But Binance can't do that with Luna Classic or even USTC because there's just no reason to. And also there's the governance thing. You know, if they staked their entire supply, they just own the network.
That is the most scariest thing. And then, like, I know there's this whole thing behind it where people, it's users and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's actually theirs. It's theirs. We've watched them move it many times. They don't need anybody's permission to move those coins because they own them.
Yeah,
So they have a node. I don't know if you know this, Duncan, but this was told to me by a couple of different people. Probably a couple of months ago. Vegas was one of those people who said that Binance node belongs to Binance, and that Binance had confirmed it. So it's unusual as to why they're not utilizing it currently. Tomorrow we're going to see, by the time this video comes out, it might have possibly happened. A KuCoin are going to restake 45 billion coins.
So
yeah, that's it. This is great. We should do videos more often, you and me. This is great.
I love doing all of the Windows stuff. I don't have to. I can talk and move stuff around.
I've got 4 screens.
So they have a 9%. They have a 9% commission, and their delegation. So if we open their address here on the Explorer, they only have 23 million Luna Classic stake. So they have almost no voting power.
It's strange.
It's they know, in my opinion, they know that like it doesn't do them any good, and it's completely antithetical to what crypto entirely is. If they just moved, what is it, 2.3 trillion coins on the network, which that is like 3 times of what we have staked right now.
Yeah.
So I almost like to think sometimes we should be thinking about. Let me see if I can bring up LUNC penguins. I actually really like using the site. if we think about, here we go. Here are the stats. So the total supply here.
Yeah, I heard about this website, Duncan. I heard this is a really good website.
The people who made it, like, who is this happy craddy crypto guy?
I'm lucky to have the team that I have behind me. Honestly, we all play such a symbiotic relationship, but it's just these slight things that really do help. Strafe Cole was such a blessing to our team, honestly.
Smart guy too. I've asked him tons of questions, and he's been kind enough to take the time and answer them.
Been with him since literally day 4. It's crazy.
Dude, I am surprised you guys made it this far. So I've only been here since the end of August. And I was like, dude, how is this still going? It's amazing. To be frank. So if we, let's say, where is it? Would it be under staking, how much we've got bonded right now?
Yeah, so if you go to the staking point, it will tell you exactly what's bonded, what's unbonded, what's being unbonded, and
right. Okay, so right here, thank you, we have 897 billion bonded. That's 14% of what we'd say the total supply is locked into the network. Now, if Binance has 2.3 trillion, we can say, hey, can you burn all of that? We could do that. But the way I like to think about it is saying, why don't we just not give them a reason to burn, but give them a reason to lock it in the network? So basically, what if the users were able to lock in 67% across the world, and Binance only had 23%? I mean, we'd burn some so that it's like the power distribution is more, but it's just a little food for thought thing that I'm going to just toss out there. Back to the Repeg. Great site, by the way.
I love tangents. Honestly, what is life without side tangents? You need them. It gives character.
I agree. But I'll just talk your head off, and we'll never talk about the USTC Repeg proposal.
No, I think so. What you're actually doing is going off, and we're explaining side things. So I think it's actually all totally relevant. So, but continue going, Duncan.
Sure. So the main concern that Redline has, and quite a few other people, is that you don't actually have to send money in from Binance into Terra, swap it in, and then send it out. You can you can skip a few steps by doing what's called cross-market arbitrage. You basically buy and sell on two different exchanges at the same time. Now, here's where people are like, are you going to talk to Binance? I'm like, dude, we cannot vote this through without Binance approving it, more or less. So actually, now that you bring up the node, like, we can say, is Binance going to vote with this on their very tiny node? Like, I think that would be a great thing to consider. But the benefit of such an idea that I'm proposing is that you have just a bunch of people trading on Binance. You'll have a bunch of people trading on Luna Classic. Now, you multiply the volume that Binance is already doing and what we're already doing by like just even 2 times. And you just think about how much Luna Classic is burned through the voluntary fees that Binance does, and that what we do through our network and the tax. So, again, warming up to the tax. It's a little, yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I'm like, okay, I see the point of it now. We basically just want to prevent a huge money drain from Terra to Binance customers, let's say, in one go. So this is the other scenario where we actually say, okay, Binance is selling USTC for 2 cents. We're selling it for 1 cent. So really what you'd be doing is you'd send your money from Terra Classic over to Binance, right? Terra USTC to Binance. Then you could just swap it and cash out for a penny. Now, it's important to note that Binance actually pays for that penny difference. That's why this kind of thing, again, is super important that we, one, talk to Binance and say, is this okay to do? Because if it's not okay to do, it just is dead in the water. We don't put it up for vote even. Because it affects all of their business, right? Even implementing the tax affected their business. We're seeing it right now, like, hey, there's 2 examples. Like, we burned a bunch of money out of pocket and we reintroduced minting, and then we sent it to Terra Rebels.
And we've been told off for that.
Yeah, because it's not even the minting that is problematic. It's sending the money that you reminted from their tax to people who are just buying Dyson vacuums.
Exactly. Well, he could have done that all himself as well. Like, he could get so much, like, for a company and business like that, it's all about getting the most from what you're doing. They could have got so much more positive rep just by doing that themselves and saying, well, we're going to donate this much to them and we're going to burn this much.
That is a great point. I actually did not think about that. The other kind of thing about the tax, just in general, is that now they're asking for whitelisting on all of their addresses.
Yes.
Strathcole and I, we are not really in favor of whitelisting because it's a huge slippery slope. Binance asks for whitelisting, then Mexi asks for whitelisting, and then Duncan asks for whitelisting, and then he gets mad when he's,
How can you then refuse? If you've given it to one person, you can't then favor that person over everybody else. So if you give it to one, you then can't refuse other people on that simple fact. So it is more than a slippery slope. I believe it's just one big slide.
Yeah, it is. It is a big slide, because why should Binance get tax benefits while I have to pay a bunch just for using it? Like,
and
if I wanted to send money
to the biggest exchange out there.
Yep. So, Zeradar has like most of the code ready, and he said it wouldn't even go live unless it was up for vote. So, different topic, but it's relevant here because whenever we change the tax rate, we are affecting their business because they have to pay it twice, actually. When the money hits, they actually have to pay it, a decent amount, because if I send money to them, to like my account,
It then
The
gets
money,
distributed from the actual hot wallet or wherever it goes from to the memos, right?
right, right. So there's what's called the send and the consolidation fee.
Yeah.
So when I send it, I pay the tax. When it lands, then they have to move it for security reasons. Um, so again, when we think about changing the tax or the reward policy, we need to think about every single market this affects. And spoiler alert, it affects literally everybody in the market, um, because of how prolific USTC and Luna and Luna synthetics are. You're basically like, anytime you change something on Terra that's like a tax or a fee, even like this proposal, you're saying you have to basically ask, hey, does the entire crypto market agree with what we're doing, because it's going to affect your market somehow. That's why I also think I know this is another tangent, why I think TFL is really ahead of a game here with the Interchain Alliance, because we want all of the DEX markets, not just the centralized exchange, but like, let's say I have UST on Uniswap, and I say, do you guys agree with this proposal that I'm trying to do? Right? Like, we want to repeg so that you have the money back on your market. Okay, now we have to get Uniswaps, we have to get Avi, we have to get Convex, we have to get all those people voting on this change that says we want to move the percentage points by like 15.15%. It's like tiny change, but huge effects. Huge effects.
It,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say, like you're saying, it's the thing right now with this also is going to be open to more or less the whole station network. It's going to be so much easier for someone on another chain to then utilize these other things that we're creating, because we are part of the whole interchain system alliance Feather once it finally reaches its stage of doing what it needs to do. So there's going to be a lot more of a user base, I believe. So you're taking all the right precautions and you're notifying all the correct people and you're taking all the right things into consideration. This is why I really do think you've got the best shot at it, Duncan.
I appreciate it. It has been a little discouraging because a couple days ago was like, wait a second. Like, it just kind of dawned on me, or, after months of doing this, it's like, wait a second. Like, we have enough money to repeg this right now, but we cannot do it right now because we have to take it one penny at a time, you know? One step at a time. And there's a lot of, I draw the analogy between a spaceship that changes its trajectory by like a few degrees at most. If you're familiar with space travel and like rocket systems, if you alter where your rocket ship's going by a few degrees, that's the difference between landing at Mars and landing at Pluto. Like,
I'm a structural engineer by like my because
oh,
I trade Pokemon cards and stuff like and retro items for a living. But before all of that, I am
ooh.
actually a structural engineer. So yeah, if you get something off by a centimeter down at the ground, you're probably looking at a serious amount by the time you get up to the gable. So yeah, it's
Exactly.
it's one of those ones. I totally get it.
Yeah. So to keep going on this proposal here. So this picture that I have up is called the underpeg premium. So we lower the price and then we'd send it to Binance. Now, what we're trying to do is actually just automate the process of it going up or down, right? So if we say we want it to change by 0.15 points, here's an example of how it would work. So let's say we push it up first, the overpeg premium. This is when, for example, UST used to trade above $1. If we were selling it on Gemini, for example, I saw this a lot on Gemini. Um, so it was trading at like $1.04 for a long time. So Gemini is paying 4 cents to their customers that are selling it. So you could just send it from like, okay, I'm going to send Terra US dollar to Gemini and then cash out 4 cents of profit. So they're paying out of their exchange. to, for that profit. Now, what we're trying to do in this automated sort of gas function is like when there's too many people trading it, you increase the tax. So this is the suggestion that Redline has. So we want to encourage people to bring their money on chain and then kind of take the profit. Now you can take your profit in Luna Classic and then stake it. Like, cool, I just got Luna Classic at a discount, but it goes the other way. It's like, okay, you can go for cash, but you could also, we could push the price in either direction. But if it just goes too far out, like if we're basically now submitting prices that are 1 cent and 3 cent, like it's too big. The spread is too big. We need to tax it back to the center of 2 cents. So that's what Redline is saying, if that makes sense. And he actually told me they have a bunch of data on it. And, what we would do is like, say if we take this underpeg example, so first we would lift it and say, if you want to buy Luna Classic at a discount, you buy USTC on Binance, you send it over to Terra, then you sell it for a penny extra to Luna Classic. So you're getting like a slight the penny discount on Luna Classic. Or you could just send it back and cash out in Binance dollar. And then once that's done, once we've moved it up far enough, eventually Binance's price is going to catch up. When it starts catching up, we stop the discount. So it'll be 3 cents equals 3 cents. And then what's going to happen is that when we turn it off, this price on Terra that we've just increased is going to normalize. So it's going to go down a little bit. So now the play is to take the Terra USTC and send it to Binance. Now we can do that, sell it to the Binance US dollar, so BUSD, BUSD, and then we can use that to just buy back USTC. So like bring value back to it. But there's essentially just a natural kind of incentive to do it where there's not just one right answer for what to do with the profits. Because you can just, again, you can buy it, cash out to Binance dollar, or you can stake it on Terra.
That'll always come down to, that's like building a game and expecting the player to play it a certain way and then going on YouTube and realizing they're doing out of map glitches and stuff. There's like a way someone uses something and then the way it's supposed to be used and all of those things. But you haven't got a crystal ball. You just don't know, do you? So you're just preparing for both.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to get as many eyes on it as possible. Because if I just threw this up for a vote, then people are like, wait, you didn't think about these 5 different things. I can basically infinite money hack it into oblivion. And you're like, oh, well, right. But I also want to kind of touch on something for taxes. Because people are asking me, is this going to burn Luna Classic? Like the LUNC coin? And the answer is yes. You'll actually burn a lot. Because, when, you think about, so I actually have in these pictures, so like just one example, if someone were to take USTC from Binance, send it into Terra, swap it, and then send it to Binance and burn it, there are 5 taxable events plus the spread, and then Binance burns their trading fees. We've taxed it 5 times, so we burned 1% of the value. And then we also are charging on the spread. So if you're depositing into like the LUNC plus USTC liquidity pool, which I will bring up here in a moment. So you would actually be making money on charging the fees for depositing money available for trading. So if you want to provide money into this liquidity pool, this is the Nova wallet, by the way. That's why you see there's so much. So you would deposit, let's say I wanted to deposit 50 USTC, then you'd also deposit the equivalent amount in Luna Classic. Not a risk-free thing by any means. So you would
Nothing in
potentially
crypto is risk-free, really, though, is it? Even stable coins are not risk-free.
Well, it's, I've told people, like, if you, like, here we go, 338.55%.
Woo, damn crap.
I actually did not know that. So basically, that's actually quite a lot. I've never seen it that high. But people are looking at this mirror one, and they're saying, whoa, it's 116%. And it's been at 100% for months. And I'm like, dude, it's not risk-free. Like, you could lose a lot of money by depositing it into this liquidity pool. The same thing goes for this one. It says you'll make 23.30% on your deposit, but this number used to be like 173,000. It was at 166 yesterday. Would you be able to handle a $7,000 loss on your deposit? Because when you take it out, you realize the loss. Different discussion. But this would be a place where you would deposit that in your money into. Like if you wanted to take this premium, you could deposit it in this pool, and then you'd start earning these fees. So like, I haven't been able to claim these because of like the gas fee proposal. Actually, like I can't do it. So if I claimed it, I think it'll tell me.
Haha! There you go, folks. There's some evidence of the 5x. Is that because of the 5x gas fees?
Yeah, let me see if it works here.
We were charging absolute peanuts before this. I just want to say
worked.
that. There you go. See, good luck, Chan.
Yeah, thank you. But you see right here, it says TX fee 0.6959 right here.
Yes.
When you multiply that by 2%, so 0.6959 times 0.02, we were charging a penny. That interaction right here, that cost me a penny to do. And I could sell that for a lot more money, because that was like, what, 315 USTC. So I pay 1 penny to make a $6.30 profit.
And that's what people like in crypto. There's different portions of the community that use these kind of things, and different portions that just will never ever bother with stuff like this. But there's such a huge amount of people out there that will utilize something for the simple fact that they can make money. What you're saying about these micro, basically what's going to happen is each one of these events create a transaction. Therefore, inside each transaction, which is subject to a taxable event, creates a burn event. So therefore, on a perfect kind of outcome from this, loads of people will be utilizing it, therefore creating loads of transactions, therefore creating loads of these tiny little micro burns. And we know micro transactions can make the biggest difference in crypto.
That's why it's great to get games on if we can.
Yeah, definitely.
I heard back from a JGX employee, so the RuneScape company. And I was like, what will it take to put it on Terra Classic blockchain? And they're like, well, a lot of our customers don't really like that stuff, but you can put something up through our launchpad. And I was like, no, I need old school RuneScape on the blockchain.
Oh man, that would be absolutely awesome. I'm from that generation, probably the same as you, but I'm super excited. Lunar Burning Nights are launching their early access. Maybe by the time this video comes out, they may have actually launched it, but so excited for that. Exodus and Metagloria, those sort of games, if they kick off in the manner that they should, they gain the traction that they look like they're going to, they could burn through some serious coins without even, knowing that they're burning through serious coins. That's how good microtransactions are. We've got the taxes right, Duncan, but what we need is the utilities, the people to use it, all of these different kind of things. So no, I really think on a grander scale of things, like what you're saying, you're going to be able to burn through a lot of coins just by following a route that you're suggesting?
Yeah. So, my validator used to be 100% commission, and people, I don't know how many people are aware, but Astroport, Terra Swap, and I think like Metagloria, so a couple NFT markets, those are your only utilities right now. So I'm someone who uses Astroport, and we're generating 12 million USTC of volume right here, which is like higher than normal. I usually see anywhere between 1 and 3 million. But when the way I run my strategy is like I put money into the pool, I wait for this number to change, the 171. So when I do that, I'm generating a transaction. Every single action I'm doing is like a microtransaction. And then when it changes, I unstake it, and then I withdraw it, and then I swap back. So I generate 6 transactions, and I think over a month I burned like 500,000 with, you know, 26 million invested of Luna Classic, and it was not like dollars, but like the coins itself. So I'm not just sending money directly to the burn address, which I do. But it's when we think about the Repeg proposal, think about how many transactions are going through this right now, this one pool. So this is what you would see on the blockchain. You can't find it, so let me get my... Oh, here we go. So if you look at these timestamps, this is happening within like, I don't know, these ones happened in the course of less than a minute. So we had 3 transactions that were all burning LUNC, USTC. So this is how money is being made. Now all we do is multiply this number by a bigger number. We make that number bigger. That's what I'm trying to do here. Without, like, basically, is the burn amount of Luna Classic going to exceed the price hit that it could take? So we're trying to make what's called, like, it's basically like an asymmetric risk reward. And again, this is where this week's discussion of like, is this market manipulation is going to come in, because I have my own opinions on it. But to kind of close up this proposal here, because this one number 2 talked about that. So number 3 was basically like, how do we prevent the price from spiraling out of control? Because what happened in May was that the price spiraled out of control for Luna. Now, if we change it for USTC, actually Aesop's from the Crypto Bros YouTube channel, he was saying, well, what happens if we change the price? Let me find it. Here we go. This is the proposal for non-techies. We increase the price of Luna by N% or increase the price of Terra by N%. So it could be like a really small amount and it would make a big difference. So ASOS was saying, well, if we change it, how do we know that when the Oracle module, like the validators will just be submitting a price that's higher, and it'll just keep going if it doesn't go back to normal? And I was like, oh, that is like a huge risk, because we could essentially repeg USTC, but it never got there naturally. We'd be forcing it to repeg. Here we go. Here's if the price gap we just purposefully made doesn't settle accurately, we may accidentally reapply the modifier. Basically, we'll just keep pumping the price up, and now that is market manipulation. But again, is it monetary policy or market manipulation?
That is that is a big question, and I guess you're having this discussion, which hopefully we get this kind of final resolution, and hopefully you guys move forward. So, Duncan, just as we're drawing into the end of this, what in a perfect world, if this all goes to plan, where do you see this taking USTC in the future? Do you see this as, is this possibly something that is going to be a game changer for the USTC community? Because they really are, aside Rap Luna, but that's a whole different video, Duncan. We're not going to get into that. Don't. You get them in the comments, Duncan.
We get along.
So what do you believe? Do you believe that, in a perfect world, this all goes to plan? Is this going to make a difference? Is this what the USTC community is looking for?
This is one of those things where it's like it can actually, based on my understanding, we could implement this and it could just stay in the system. So, which means yay, it actually works and it will continue to work, and barring any monkey wrenches. Meaning we could repeg to $1 and you just won't see it all at once. You'll see it slowly happening, right? You'll see it go from 2 cents to 3 cents. It'll move back down. It'll just keep going up and down. Then you'll see 3 cents to 4 cents. And you'll just see it moving up and down, up and down. And then if you know who Runemir is, he told me a long time ago, probably in July, he said, if we get to 50 cents, dude, FOMO is just going to kick in. Oh my gosh, it's happening. We're repegging. So then when we repeg, we can actually have something that, consumer businesses can use as stable payment. And we'll have to actually bring in more sort of protections, because this is going to have to go up again for discussion in this one. What is preventing another May event from happening? That's the big question. So this will get us to the destination, but we need to stay there. And that's the big thing this week.
Yeah. Repeg it, but how do we maintain it?
Exactly. For as long as possible.
Definitely. I think one good thing to note, aside all of the other positive things inside this, is we could, as the LUNC community, fix USTC and actually make Luna Classic a partially a center point again of the Cosmos, because there really isn't an algorithmic stablecoin there anymore. We still need it. It's still needed. If somebody can fix it, it's going to help the system. It can only help the blockchain push further and further and further. And the FOMO that gets created, like you're saying, just ends up taking over at certain points.
Yeah. And it's important to note that there's nothing like USTC on chain. This is what I consider a fully under collateralized dollar. And there's nothing like that. The closest thing we have is Frax, which was in 4pool back in May, before then. So we can take some inspiration from what Kazemian has done in Frax, but everything else for even algorithmic stuff, it's all over collateralized. And something that is really unique about Terra US dollar and all the Terra stablecoins is that by nature of being fully under collateralized, proper use of it will just make our economy more robust. It's like a credit card. If everybody uses their credit cards, responsibly, then we benefit. But if everybody misuses it and just, buys, Dyson vacuums and then defaults.
Oh my goodness. Let's buy Roomba, said no one.
Exactly.
What are you going to buy first? I'm going to get a Roomba. He's just sat there watching his cat go around the room, sat on the Roomba.
I just can't. I can't.
I can't. Goodness, the things that could have been done with that. But Duncan, it seems like we're on the right path. I don't know how you feel at the moment, but I just feel we're on the right path.
We are. A couple people have said there's no big deal. Like, passive income is really useful, and I disagree because we basically have 2 years from May, so May 2024, to get this sorted out, or else we have drained the entire system of money.
Yes,
Um,
so it starts to go down like it goes down in stages. I did a video about this this morning,
mm,
actually. Funnily
oh,
enough, it will just go down in stages, but nonetheless, the reward system will be punished if we don't begin to, get ourselves in order now. But this is why I wanted to do this podcast episode. This is why I wanted to get your plan out there. It feels like like I was saying, we can't. There's a thing I see at the moment, right? Anything that's labeled with our lead development teams, like, yes, 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 we don't even need to vote on these things I'm seeing in the proposals. And it's like, guys, really, we need to not have this kind of mindset. But then at the same time, seeing proposals like yours, where you're putting in so much work, so much energy, and the vibes you're providing in it are really good. And it just feels like we need to get more eyes on this. We need to do something before, and we're not saying it's going to be before it's too late, but let's do it now before it becomes more of a problem.
exactly. And I will say that, when I first got into Terra Rebels, I was talking a lot with Alex, and he did the same thing from May to September. He was like putting so much time into it, and when it went up and it just fell, you know, it wasn't ready for, you know, the community. Like, they weren't exactly sure what they were voting on. So I actually think I really would like to see more validators or just bright minds like his put his eyes on it. He actually did give me his feedback as well as Thor Maximalist, so TCB. But just more eyes on it and say what works and what doesn't work, and how can we fix it, without just sitting around and hoping something will happen by staking it. Um, like, I have this image up on the screen. Like, what's the Eli 5? We tell the blockchain to do something and make the prices go up or down, but only a little bit and only for a little bit. And if it doesn't do what we want, or we forget to vote in a change, that's why we automate it and not vote it, then we would just turn it off. Um, so this would actually just burn more than a flat tax ever would. And if it works, we could actually make the blockchain more smooth to work on. And I work on it like every day, provided that there's no hitches on the code. Um, so yeah,
This is
I'm
it could be a big boy utility from what I'm seeing. Honestly, that's my honest opinion of something like this. Is something that has a lot of potential. It could be something huge if we can all get behind it and support it and be on board. Because like you're saying with the dragon theory, right? It's no good
yes,
us all sitting on our piles of gold. We need to trade it. We need to do stuff with it. And if we can provide incentives where people make money in that process, why are they not going to do it?
yeah, and it's like when you're burning stuff, like if you're trying to burn a whole forest down, you need fuel. And you know, we have a lot of potential fuel sitting in USTC and all of the other stable coins. Like, if we onboarded different countries and they're all just trading money, like, think about what the rewards would look like for staking, you know? So ignoring it is not the way, in my opinion. You would want more people using the network so that if you want to be a diehard diamond hander, then do so. Like, we more people using it. Imagine if you got a commission from every time someone spent money at the grocery store using the money. Um, Anyways, the proposal is called Ziggy. This was Natasha's suggestion. It was called Ziggurat, but we just call it Ziggy now. So that is the proposal. You can always just at me if you have questions or DM me if you're unclear about something.
There's going to be all the links to everything we've gone through in the description, plus links to Duncan's validator, which is Onyx Validator, folks. Links to all these proposals, links to his Twitter and everything like that. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. I know it's been a little bit longer than a normal podcast, but I hope you've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. I hope Duncan's enjoyed himself coming on and not been too stressed doing all the screenplay. But really appreciate you coming on, Duncan. I really, really am. I'm excited because it's just, with everything that's going on at the moment currently, to be excited and bullish about, this is something else that we can all get behind and be excited about, I think. So looking forward to seeing what comes out of this meeting and what comes from the future.
Thank you. Thanks again for having me on. I'm glad to be here. Again, look forward to more. Look forward to seeing what we can do.
Definitely. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a really nice day wherever you are. Stay safe. Beware of scammers. Beware of doppelgangers. Beware of anybody pretending to be myself or Duncan. Beware of WhatsApp numbers, anything like that. And just stay safe. None of this is financial advice. Catch you in the next one.
Our revenge is made possible by listeners like you. By listeners like you. Our revenge is made possible by listeners like you.